Beginners, I like to emphasize having a good stance, right? A lot of jiu-jitsu athletes, they like to stand straight up. Just get in the habit of staying in a good stance, keeping good low head position, right? We're bending at the waist, keeping our front hand down, so that way we're able to block the shot if he tries to shoot from a distance, okay? So our first one is our high C, right? High crotch is a very, very foundational takedown that I can get to. So when we're tying up, right, we're always tying up with our backhand first. I never want to tie up with my front hand. All he's going to do here is post up and start getting to his shots here, start taking my back, stuff like that. So as soon as I'm tying up, right, I'm keeping my hand in front of my lead leg, right, ready to catch that shot if he shoots from a distance. I'm tying up with my backhand. From here, I like to make good forehead to forehead connection, okay? Keeping my head up. I don't want my head down. Wherever my head goes, my body's going to follow. So if my head's facing down when I shoot, I'm going to dive in like a crashing airplane. I got to stay up high, right? And once I make that head-to-head connection, I can take the hand that's in front of my leg up to my collar tie. When you're getting to your collar tie, I'm not swinging out wide, okay? If I swing out wide, he's just going to catch this position here, right? I want to beat him to that position. I turn elbow in, and I hit my forearm right against his collarbone, okay? So here, right against his collarbone. Once I make that tie up, that's fine. Now I can start wrestling, start hand fighting. This usually will initiate some sort of tie up from the other guy, allowing me to start working on my hand fight. We're always looking for inside position, okay? At least one hand on a collar tie, one hand on an armpit, or both hands on armpits, okay? I'm never allowing him to stay in good position here, and I'm not letting him beat me here, okay? I always need to look for good position, allowing me to set myself up for success, okay? Once I get to my tie up, right, from here, I'm using my hand that's on the back of the armpit. I'm going to level change below his head position. If I can beat his head position, it's going to be less likely that he's going to be able to defend the shot. So I need a level change and penetration step. What that means is I'm level changing and I'm stepping forward with my lead leg. That way I can get that much closer to his hips, so it's easier to get my hip to his leg. From here, if that leg's back, that's fine. I just circle it forward right there. See that? Circle it forward, and now I level change, penetration step, and I use this elbow and I flare it open, creating this space here. Once I do that, I think of combing my hair. I come over the top here. Other hand comes high into the crotch, okay? For jiu-jitsu purposes, as soon as you get to the high crotch, turn this knee down to the mat and start cutting this angle behind him so you don't get guillotined, okay? It's very important that as soon as I get to this high C in jiu-jitsu, I need to get my head behind the back so I don't get put in chokes, right? So from here, high in the crotch, I switch my hands. Here, high in the crotch, see that? They switch, and I drive off of this foot, and I run my double leg, okay? So here, I see, drive off of this foot, I try and catch far hip or far leg right here, never down low, okay? Staying up high. I drive through. That's the first one. Second one is going to be a basic single leg, okay? So all I'm going to do is as I'm tying up, right? Remember, keeping hand in front of lead leg, thumb posting with our backhand, good forward pressure with our forehead, and then I can tie up on my collar tie on the other side. Say that I shoot single leg to this side, and that's his lead leg. That's perfect for me. I don't need to really set it up as much or move him because that lead leg is already forward. So all I have to do here is I take my hand that's closest to his lead leg. I'm just going to level change, penetration step, and circle behind. More than likely, you're going to get a reaction of him sprawling, and that's perfectly fine. Just let him sprawl. You're going to cut this angle to where you're not stuck underneath him, okay? I'm still keeping my head up, and I'm keeping good shoulder pressure in, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to start cutting this angle here. If he wants to start circling with me, I can grab bottom of the ankle, I can start shelving up here and finish through here. So we're hand fighting, right? Hand down, thumb post, Good forehead to forehead connection. Collar tie, using my forearm on his collarbone. That lead leg's forward. Sometimes you're going to have to hand fight a little bit. Sometimes this guy's going to try and get inside, so we got to hand fight to it. But as we're hand fighting, that's what we should be looking for, okay? So we're hand fighting. We cut that angle. If he wants to sprawl here, right? He's sprawling with one leg down. That's fine. I keep circling behind here. I keep good shoulder pressure down. Right? I don't want him being able to turn his hip back down into me, right? That's bad. If I can keep good shoulder pressure, it prevents him from turning into me and start looking for guard retention and stuff like that. From here, I take my free hand. My hand is capping the knee, right? The one that's behind the leg. My free hand is grabbing at the ankle. My outside leg is stepping up. I shelf up high here. That way I can control his whole hip, and I climb the rope. I climb up, finish on the hips, okay? Another simple one is just a basic snap down, okay? So right here, we tie up, good collar tie, right? Just say we have inside position here. We have a good collar tie. We have a good outside tie here, or inside tie here on the back of his armpit. What we need to do is we need to give him pressure so we get pressure, right? I start pressuring, he starts pressuring back. As soon as I feel that pressure come back, I'm going chin to chest. I'm working down towards the mat. My hands will follow me down, and I'm going to circle away from my collar tie side, circling this leg back, right? If I snap him onto my leg, you're just going to take a shot here, right? I don't want that. All right, so I get to this collar tie, get to my inside tie here on the back of the armpit. I need to circle away from the snap, go chin to chest. As I circle away from the snap, I keep good hand position, right? I don't want to allow this guy to come back up to his feet and start looking to re-shot, right? Re-attack. I need to keep good position here. My forehead, I like to connect it to his body so that way I have full control. Hand is on the back of the tricep. Hand is on the back of the head. I don't want to grab the neck. He's super strong here. Back of the head, right? I'm pushing that down. Once I feel it, I'm going to slip my hand in to this inside chin position. I'm grabbing his chin. See that? Like a chin strap, okay? I'm dropping my shoulder in between his shoulder blades, and I'm keeping good, heavy pressure here. Remember, we're not sprawling here, right? This isn't good position, and we're not getting too close. There's no pressure here, right? You can just grab my legs. Good medium space in between, bent legs on my toes, so that way I keep good forward pressure. From here, I can do a simple go behind. All I'm doing is I'm taking my hand that's on the chin, I'm blocking. It's called a flipper. I block that elbow. So when I go to circle, if he starts circling away from me, I can stay behind his elbows and catch his position. If I don't flipper and I just try and swing behind, see that? He can start catching my legs and prevent me from going behind. So once again, tying up with our backhand, keeping the lead hand down, make that good forehead to forehead connection. Collar tie. Once I get that collar tie, we're going to start hand fighting a little bit. I start hand fighting. As soon as I feel like he's pressuring back into me, I have good collar tie. Usually I like it on top of the head, not on the neck. I have a good hand in the armpit. I'm going to go chin to chest. I'm going to circle away, taking this leg away, snapping down towards the mat, and covering with my front headlock. Hand on the chin, hand on the back of the tricep, looking away from my front headlock, shoulder down on the on his shoulder area, and I flip her behind. Now I can just start looking to circle behind, staying on my toes the whole time. Okay, not on my knees.
All right, there you have it, guys. Thank you again, Nick. Nick, would you share any other tips for beginners that are new to jiu-jitsu, that are just, they're tired of pulling guard and they want to learn how to wrestle a little bit?
Just try stuff. It's the practice room. Just attempt to go for things. If it works in here, it's going to work out in a match. If you're able to start practicing it and maybe you don't get it the first, 10 times, 15 times, that's okay. If you keep practicing, eventually you're going to catch the position. Even asking your coaches, getting tips from other guys in the room, like, hey, how did my pressure feel? stuff like that will go a long way and benefit you in the long run.
Awesome. And one last thing I notice a big difference between wrestlers and jiu-jitsu is honestly like the way they drill. So would you give any tips for jiu-jitsu guys? Because, man, we all know how jiu-jitsu guys drill. They do a couple reps and they're, oh, yeah, man, Terry, how's it going? So would you give any tips for any jiu-jitsu athletes drilling wrestling?
Yeah, I would say have some intensity behind it, right? I don't want to half-ass it and just go 50%. I want to actually try the move, stay in good position, have your partner try and defend a little bit so that way it gives you a realistic output on what you're trying to do.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Again, don't take my word, take his word. He knows more on this subject. He's a beast. Thank you again for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to drop a comment, drop a like, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you again. Have a great day.